Hello everybody, Ian Lee here. Hope y'all are well. In today's video, I want to talk about combining some Barry Harris concepts in making lines. I really love Barry's teachings. I love the way that he thinks and talks about how to improvise and create lines and the exercises and all of it. It's so expansive. It may seem limiting. I don't know how different people feel about it, but I'm pretty floored by the way that he talks about music and the way he teaches improvisation. Because to me, as you get deeper into it, you realize that there's these kind of core concepts, and those concepts, rather than restricting you, actually allow you to just explode, because you just get to start combining them and opening up, and it gives you a lens and a filter through which to look at music. And as you transcribe, maybe you learn a line or something like that from an artist, like a Charlie Parker line or something, and you want to know what's going on there, it really helps you to understand what's happening as well. So anyways, that's a whole nother spiel there. Three things I want to combine today are Barry's chromatic scale, and we'll be doing literally just a piece of that. It's more of a concept out of the chromatic scale rather than the whole scale, or even a little bit of it. It's really just a tiny little portion of it. We'll be combining 4-note chords and descending half-step rules and this is all going to be around the dominant scale. So I'll be playing B flat 7. So that's where I'm thinking at right now. So if we think about 4-note chords, let's just take that essential concept. So, we can take a chord, you start on a note, play a note, skip a note, play a note, skip a note, play a note. So you get 4 notes, and you get these 4-note chords. So if I were on B flat 7, I could go, right? Then, sorry, I'm a little out of tune. Et cetera, et cetera. You get to go on and on and on. And that's a great thing to do. And then you can add a half step below each of those, the root of those 4-note chords. And if you're practicing through this, there's a lot of ways to play through these rhythmically. One way that's presented on the Barry Harris workshop videos is and triplet, and triplet, right? So you're doing the and of a beat, triplet, and then the downbeat of the next thing. So it's really cool, right? It's really pretty. It's pretty. Yeah, it's probably the easier way is to slide in with your third finger, right there, at least on the violin. And then the chromatic scale. So now the chromatic scale is really cool. What it does is, if there's a half step to put in between any note, you put it there. And if there isn't a half step, so for example, on the dominant scale, I can go. Now between D and E flat, between the major third and the perfect fourth of the dominant scale, there's no in between, right? There's no half step. So what you do is you go up a scale tone, and you put that in between, right? So you go. Now, how are we going to combine all these things? So what we're going to do is take the 4-note chord with a half step below it. So let's take the example of, let's do the 4-note chord that comes off of the 4th scale degree in B flat 7. So that's an E flat major 7. So I'm going to play. And then I'm going to go a half step below E flat. So now I'm going to take the chromatic scale idea, and I'm going to use it on that in-between note where there's the half step below, so between D and E flat. So I'm saying, I'm kind of like making up my own rules, like generating my own ideas now, right, through these other core foundations. So now I'm gonna, tell myself, okay, well, anytime you don't have a half step between, you have to put the scale degree above. So what I'm going to do is I'll play the sound out, and hopefully it'll make sense. So I'm going to play, again, E flat major 7, 4-note chord off the 4th scale degree. And then what I'm going to do is, instead of just doing it straight, I'm going to play the scale degree above and put it in between. So I'm using that chromatic concept. And I'll do triplet, triplet 2 and 3, right? Isn't that pretty? Isn't that super cool? I love that. So I just started playing with this idea just over the last day or two. So it's really still very new to me, at least combining it in this way, but I think it's really fun. So now here's the cool thing. When we rhythmically divide it like that, when we do it in that particular way, with that particular triplet 2 and 3, because of the way we land rhythmically, we can add the descending half step rules in the dominant scale, depending on, and you can keep them exactly the same. So in this instance, I land on D, and since I'm in B flat, D is the 3rd of B flat 7, okay? B flat dominant scale. So I can either do 1 half step or I can do 3 half steps. So, isn't that cool? It's pretty. So then we could do 3 half steps. That's super cool. I just think this stuff's too cool. That's pretty, man. Let's do it on a different scale degree, just so we can have a little extra fun with it. Let's just do it on the next one. So we'll do it on the important minor that exists on a dominant 7 scale. So we'll do it off the 5th scale degree. So now we have, so if I do a half step below, to triplet 2 and 3. Sorry. Oh, I knew what I'm doing wrong. I'm not putting the chromatic note in between, right? The there it is. That's the whole idea. So remember, with this particular exercise and kind of rule, what we're doing is we're doing the 4-note chord with a half step below the root of that chord. But since we're using the chromatic scale idea, we don't just get to go right into it. We have to put the next scale degree above the root of that chord in between the 2 notes, since there isn't a half step in between them. They're right next to each other. So we have to put something in between them. So we go bum, and then over here, and then land, right? So what I'm playing is E. It's cool because you really end up like surrounding, in a sense, is what it comes down to. It's like you're surrounding, you're going half step below, whole step above, which is a very classic surrounding idea anyways. It may not always work out exactly like that, but and so I land on the E flat there. That's the highest note in my 4-note chord. And so I go down with no half steps or 2 half steps, right? Because that's the rule. So we go, let's see. Oh yeah. Cool stuff, man. Really cool stuff. And you can run that up the scale. You could take it around rhythm changes or Cherokee, or take it through all the dominants and how high the moon. I've been thinking about how high the moon recently, so that would be a fun way to do that. It's like, okay, now how can I apply it to that G minor 7 to C7 section, and then the F minor 7 to B flat 7, and there's the A minor 7 to D7. So then you get to practice it in 3 keys instantly, but in a song. And that's cool stuff. Rather than just arbitrarily taking it through 12 keys, not that that's not good for you, not saying that, but why not put it into a tune, you know? It's great stuff, man. All right, y'all. Have a wonderful day, and happy practicing.